Welcome back to our Mid-Mountain Shadows project, where we're going to cover our closeout craziness that just started last week. So I want to cover some of the things that go on during this period. And the first thing is going to be, typically there's more people on our job site during the closeout period at once than there ever is throughout the complete and entire project. This creates a lot of coordination issues, and it particularly allows us to be able to utilize our project management skills in a way like none other throughout the process of construction. So typically at this phase, we're going to be completing our hardscape. We're going to be moving on to our landscape. Our drainage is typically in, underground conduit, and our sprinkler irrigation is in to be able to make it to all the appropriate locations. And we're really pushing on our landscape trade partner to be able to make sure that they have everything that's necessary for them to be able to get to completion on the project, including ground cover, selection of plantings, so on and so forth. And so typically outside, this is going to be the key thing that's happening during the closeout period. At this stage in the process, one of the things that creates most of the craziness is going to be storage capacity. We're already pretty tight on our Mid-Mountain Shadows lot, but ultimately we have a lot of people that are doing a lot of different things and they're trying to close out their projects. So we have leftover material for those that have already left, and we also have a lot of incoming material for all of the trade partners that are buttoning up their punch list items, so on and so forth. As you'll see in here, we have a compilation of a fair amount of trim details, such as the painters getting ready to prep the doors, to HVAC equipment for our air handlers and for the various items that need to be taken care of at trim out. Ultimately, we also have some additional tile details, as well as some of the decking material that you'll see down here on the floor. The last thing that creates craziness with storage and space is going to be our trash detail. Ultimately, at this point, we no longer have a dumpster on site, and there's a lot of garbage that's being produced. And so ultimately, we use this time at the end of the day to be able to clear out a lot of this garbage and take it usually to an additional job site where there's a dumpster or trailer available. As mentioned, storage is key, and typically we got to store almost everything in the middle of the room. So we have our appliances located inside the house in this specific instance because we don't have a garage door completed yet, because it's a mahogany stained door that we don't want to put on until the end of the project. But ultimately, our painters have been generous and kind enough to work around some of these storage components. And then that's typically one of the big things that's happening during closeout is we're trying to take care of all the last minute painting items, getting the doors hung, getting things moving in the right direction while everyone else is taking care of their pieces. So one of the benefits is a lot of times during this crazy time, we're obviously coordinating with our various trade partners, and our plumber can typically get in here pretty early, be able to establish all of his faucets, make sure that all of his plumbing is running appropriately. So this is a good opportunity to get him in here before the craziness starts. He usually does it in a two-phase. So he'll come in, he'll get all of the plumbing fixtures that he can get in, and then he'll take off and then come back at the end and finish up any of the punch list items. But it also allows us to be able to get our construction techs in so they could be able to handle some of the small details as seen here with this cabinet hardware installation. So one of the biggest things that can really contribute to the craziness is whether you actually have the items that are necessary during this point of close. And as you can see behind us, I've pointed out a few things in the walk that we have obviously our appliances in. And this is going to be key. Very imperative that we order early and often to make sure that we get the appropriate pieces when it comes to trimming out the house. This is something that takes place very early on in the process, but can really wreak havoc for you as you close it out. So as mentioned just a second ago, this is where our project management chops in the construction industry really take shape. Ultimately, there's so many moving pieces, and so I'm going to talk just briefly to give you the overall scope of what's taking place during this period of time. So first thing, as mentioned, you're typically going to have your landscapers outside taking care of punch. They're going to be working with anyone from gutters to mister systems to any of the exterior features such as lighting that's going on around the premises, as well as plantings. So there's a lot going on outside. When you have a pool and a hot tub, you're obviously trying to coordinate so that you can be able to have the appropriate pieces to get them to final inspection so they could punch out and get the pool finalized and filled. As we move into the interior of the house, we're going to have our painters finishing a lot of the things that they have on their list. We're going to have our plumber in here. We're going to have our electricians in here. We're going to have our HVAC company in here. We're going to have our fire sprinkler company in here. We're going to have our construction techs in here, which are employees of Rebuild the Block, to be able to help with all the minute punch items. We're going to have our cabinet company in here to make sure that everything's installed appropriately and functioning correctly. Our team, as mentioned, is going to be taking care of a lot of the odds and ends. We're going to have our finish carpenters back reinstalling the doors after being painted. Our team's going to be affixing all of the handle sets, making sure that the latches and locks all work so that when the homeowner moves in, everything is up to speed and they're able to use and function their home the way that it was intended. We have a lot of additional custom items that are taking place, such as finishing out the wine wall, making sure that all the custom mirrors and shower glass is installed appropriately. In addition to that, we're going to have all of our minute punch items that take place as we prepare for our client to actually call this place home. So as you can see, it's so imperative that we are able to manage the project effectively during this time frame so that we can be able to coordinate with the additional pieces that truly make this house a home, such as getting it cleaned up and ready for the interior designer to come in and be able to furnish the property before our homeowners move in. We wouldn't be able to do this without a great team at Rebuild the Block, and I know that some of the unsung heroes on our team are our construction techs. They're here day in and day out taking care of all the little items that truly make our product stand apart from the rest. And Eric and Angel specifically have been working at Lincoln for the last 2.5 weeks very diligently to be able to handle a lot of the items that fill the gaps for our subcontractors and hopefully make it a smoother and more bearable process as we start to close out at the very end of our builds. We appreciate you following along. Can't wait to show you the finished product here at Mid-Mountain Shadows. So please click below to subscribe or like our channel. And of course, if you ever have any questions and you're here in Phoenix, want to build a beautiful custom home, reach out anytime via DMs in our social media channels or through our website. Have a great day.